Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are the Two Unholy Healers. I'm Colleen O'Brien. This is Karen S. Lee. Oh, I should say this. I'm mirrored, so I got to actually point away from you when I actually want to point towards you. Welcome to another episode of our live stream podcast. And today we are talking about handling addictions during the holidays. So, hello, welcome to those of you who are watching live. Say hello, let us know who you are, say hi in the comments. Oh, good, you're already commenting. That's perfect. Hey, Hannah, welcome. Hello. Perfect. Glad to see you.
Hi, Hannah. Lovely to have our first.
You're first.
Online.
You win.
Yes.
You win. Congratulations.
And just welcome to everyone. This is also the last podcast for 2021. So we are super excited that all of you guys have been joining with us and popping in later and watching the podcast and all of that. Super appreciative of all of that. And we look forward to, more next year. But for our topic today, addictions, Colleen and I were talking about this recently, and it's such a fascinating topic because it is something you do see a lot when you're working with people as healers, and it's really great to look at some of the common patterns that show up around healers. So we're going to look at that today. We're going to look at some of the common things that we see connected to addictions. And we're also going to go through, perhaps some strategies and things that people can use as we lead up to this holiday season, because of course, as there is increased stress, that can be a time when these things become more difficult. But I guess, one point that needs to be said to start off with is that if you're just dealing with the addiction, so if it's alcohol or food, sex, drugs, shopping, whatever it is, if you're just looking at that, then you're looking at really what is a solution. You're looking at the way that you have found to deal with whatever it is that's going on below the surface. So what we really want to be looking at is what's going on under the surface. What are some of those things that start the cause of these addictions?
Yes. And Karen had a very important point when we were in the green room today too, of let's bring that focus to us as healers, right? Because this is the Two Unholy Healers. I'm sure we could share plenty of stories of our own families, of our own holiday experiences. But how can our experience as healers help our clients, and even help ourselves when it comes to these behaviors? Because honestly, you don't have to be an addict or label yourself as an addict to engage in addictive behaviors. Mm-hmm. And, again, they are solutions. Like, what is driving that? Like, is it, you're trying to feel better because a relationship is feeling inadequate, or, you're feeling unworthy, or you're trying to overcompensate for something like, oh, I feel poor, so I'm going to outspend and show everybody that I'm not nearly as financially unstable as everybody believes, or I feel that everybody believes I am. So, look at, or maybe you're overwhelmed. And so you want to dull that out. You just, you're picking up on everybody else's vibes because you're very empathic, and you're like, oh, I got to shut this down. And so you just, will overeat for that. Hello, Lorene. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, lovely. Yes. And, on that topic as well, this is one of my little pet peeves. And I guess a lot of people, with what you were just saying, use these things to deal with hurt, pain. They've had a relationship breakup. They've had something that is difficult for them, and they're looking for a way to soothe that hurt or that pain. And I love watching movies, TV shows, stuff like that, where you can see how people, or how we are shown through the TV to respond to such things. And like I said, this is one of my pet peeves, because every time, You watch a TV show and someone gets excited. What do they all do? They go to the pub and celebrate. Or every time they have something bad happen, what do? They get a drink. And it doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the day and they're in an office or where they are, that bottle of alcohol will be there. Now, it may be a staging thing to some extent, like when they're creating a scene, they like to give the actor something to do, so they walk over and get a drink, or it's too annoying to eat an apple or something like that. It's not quite as easy to do.
Well, it can be used as a storytelling device. It's a really quick way to signal to the audience that, they're having a reaction, and but we're all wired, we're all conditioned to see that behavior is a response to a particular emotion or a reaction to to a particular situation. And so I totally get your point. That's a great point. And I think a lot of us just sort of take it for granted.
But it becomes programming, and that's the thing that peeves me, because it teaches children, when you get upset, go get a drink or food, of course, eating the big bowl of ice cream or whatever. And other things as well, depending on the movie that you want. But the drinking and food is very, very prevalent. Mm-hmm. So it would be interesting to see movies that are being made that actually have different reactions to, and sometimes there are, people go for a walk, phone a friend, whatever. But it is really, and maybe it's just because I don't drink anymore and I'm really interested in watching and viewing behaviors in people. So maybe it's just something that I'm really aware of. But yeah, it's a way that I think programs people to, this is how you respond to upset, through some addictive behavior. And it may not be addictive for everyone. Someone could just go get a drink when they feel upset. But for some people, obviously, it's a bigger issue than others. So, how we're taught to deal with it, basically.
Yeah, or even define ourselves, because I gave up drinking for a long time, but I used to collect wine. I had wine friends. I would go and buy wine by the case at local wineries, and they would know me and recognize me by name. Like I was, I wasn't quite the mover and shaker in the local wine world, but like I got around. And I never really thought about being it's okay to get angry and smash them up. Well, even that's also a plot device too, right? Of like how many props can this person destroy, right?
Yeah, and then it's okay to drive like a maniac if you're pissed off. This is so true, Lorraine, because and in fact I just watched a movie a couple of days ago, a really good movie with some great actors in it. And the movie was just brilliant on so many levels. And then at one point she got angry and she smashed up all this stuff she'd just built. And it's like, no, like we don't have to deal with anger this way. Like this annoys me when they do it. And in fact, a couple of things. I watched something last night where this guy got angry and just smashed this whole bar to pieces. And great pick up, Lorraine, because it's like, no, it's not okay to do that. Even in a movie, it's like someone still has to clean up that mess. Be responsible, people.
Oh my goodness!
Like a true mother.
I know. I had no idea you had such a reaction to that. I mean, and part of it is the drama, right? Like, again, it's a storytelling device. But a lot of times those characters, unless they're like the main character and they really take the time for there to be a character arc and some development there and allow that to breathe, a lot of times those characters get to be defined as one-dimensional. And so they are the alcoholic. They are the overspender. They are the maniac driver. They are the one who's addicted to sex. And that's all they are. And that's all that anybody can really interface with them. And that is a problem, because it doesn't really allow the viewers to be like, well, why are they like that? What created that? Exactly. And that's where the true healing really is, when you're willing to go those layers deeper and be like, okay, why are you choosing that? Like, what is this really because again, it's effective, right? Biologically, your neurotransmitters in your brain are changing your chemistry and the way that you're feeling when you're engaging these behaviors, whether it's temporary or long term. But yeah, why are you choosing these as solutions? And that's where the real transformation can happen.
Exactly, because it feels very childish. If we go back to, a 2-year-old child throwing a tantrum, well, that's acceptable because the child is releasing anger or an emotional feeling in a way that it's the only way it knows. And if you think of that in terms of an adult, there is that wounded child, that little child that did not receive the love or the support or whatever it required in that moment. And so that child is still there responding in that way that is really not so appropriate when you're an adult. It's definitely something that we need to look at as healers, is how to help people heal that wounded inner child, to how to look at some of that emotional stuff and deal with those emotions and heal those wounds that actually cause these behaviors.
Yeah, and I think this is a great time to point out too that we as healers, we aren't the exclusive outlet for healing this kind of behavior, right? Like there are mental health professionals as well that can help our clients or even ourselves, right, who are willing to reach out to change, because they've got it. We can't change anybody who isn't ready to change them for themselves. But and there may also be biological causes, right? Like there may be programs, physicians, it may be a nutritional thing. Like you could really have a whole team associated with helping you, and even a community, right? Like a lot of these self-help groups, like these like Alcoholics Anonymous or any of those sorts of 12-step programs. There's so many resources available for people, and we can work in concert with our clients, with ourselves, and as they change and grow and develop, they may outgrow some of those and find some other thing, and it's all part of the journey. But I think it's important for us to remember, if any of us who as healers have that savior complex, like, oh, I'm gonna do it all, I'm gonna help them, I'm gonna be the way shower, I'm gonna bring them to the light, and in reality, it's a community that really is supporting this person in their addiction or in their recovery.
Yeah, and I think it's different for everyone too. I've had people come in with drug addictions, say for example, and in one session that's cleared. But in other people, it could take a much, much longer to actually get down to what is the actual cause of this. What does that person really want? What is it, whether it's a chemical imbalance or whether it's a belief system or whether it's trauma or genetic influences or entities or, a whole stream of things that could be connected to this. And it does require that team of people, as you're talking about. So it's very much different for everyone. But I think a really great question to ask for someone who is susceptible to some of those things is to ask, what do you actually require or desire when you feel that urge to partake of whatever it is? So like take a moment to tap into that that need and ask the question, what is it that you actually really require, that the food, alcohol, sex, whatever it is providing some relief for. But it ultimately comes from a place of dissatisfaction as well. And I know from having had addictions that you can consume as much of whatever that is, and it doesn't actually fully meet the need. It temporarily takes the edge off before that need will flare up again. So getting to the bottom of what that is the way that I've found to actually create a lot of change with that.
Yeah, and it's really only part of it, right? Like of really having the courage to get underneath, not just like, okay, this behavior is wired with this behavior because they always happened in tandem. Okay, like what is driving that? What am I really looking to get out of that? What do I really require? And then having a plan, having those action steps, now what can I change? What am I going to choose?
Yeah.
What behaviors am I going to engage in now that I've already addressed the need and I know what I require? How can I fulfill those needs in a healthier way?
Mm. Yes, and also what would happen if you didn't have this addiction? So, for example, knowing someone who had addictions for alcohol addiction for a lot of years, as we're talking about identity, and that identifying people with certain things and behaviors, who would you be without the identity of the alcoholic or the drug addict or the food addict or whatever it is? Who would you be without that? How would you identify with who you are, and what does that mean to you? What do you get out of having that label as well? And also, what can you create beyond that? Without having that addiction, what can you create beyond that? Who can you be beyond that? So
yeah, and in the comments, if you guys have any stories or experiences that you want to share, please do, because I know my relationships totally changed when I quit drinking. And the funny thing is, I decided to kind of go cold turkey, and it was around this time of the year, years and years ago. But I thought to myself, you know what? I actually have to wait until January 1st, not because that's when the New Year's resolutions come around, but because I knew that everybody who knew me, who didn't know what to get me for Christmas or my birthday, which happens to also be on Christmas, probably already had bought me a bottle of wine as my gift. And I didn't have any suggestions for them of what to, I didn't want them to have to go out and buy me something else or feel bad about having given me a gift if I announced that I was going to be sober. So I just was like, it's going to be easier for me to just train everybody else that I don't drink if I start at the new year. So I delayed my own sobriety to make everybody else feel better about what gifts they may have already bought me.
But that was probably at some level an awareness as well, because it was coming into that Christmas season, being around family, their expectations of you. It probably just made it easier for you, rather than just going into that from that new space of not drinking and then getting bombarded with all of the family stuff. So it actually gave you more time to get a sense of that for yourself before you had to deal with other people in the future as well.
Yeah, well, and it took forever to train them. I love my family, but for a good 6 or 8 months, every time I showed up, they would, and that was just, the thing. That's how we were programmed. Like, somebody shows up, you offer them a drink, and and it was just like, no, like water's fine or whatever. And then it was just, I didn't feel like they were forcing it on me, but it was just part of the litany of like, here are all the beverages that we have. What can I fix you? And and it was just this weird thing. It was like, wow, like I forgot that I even drink, but they, I live with me. So like, when I would see them, it would just be a thing. But it was also an awareness that I didn't realize until after my one grandfather died, that he was an alcoholic. But for me, that was just normal. That was just the way that grandpa always was. I never connected that, like, oh my God, he's addicted to alcohol. Yeah. I just got used to those are the behaviors, and that's how everybody else, related to him and how we all behaved. And it's, so addictions aren't really just about you or about your client. It really is about all the relationships as a whole.
Around you. Exactly. And there's a couple of comments from Lorraine. Yeah. She says it was actually like one of the only aspects I liked about the Johnny Depp version of Willy Wonka. You got to see the backstory and understand his why. So yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about before about those one-dimensional characters. So yes, that's awesome.
But again, he was the lead, so you didn't really find out about what the other ancillary supporting characters were about.
Yeah, exactly. And she also says, releasing my addiction to people pleasing has been an interesting shift this Christmas season. I hear you, sister. It's been something that I've been looking at recently myself, in terms of the absolute subtlety that we can, the ways that we can please people without actually realizing that we're doing it. So that's something that has been kind of big in my world recently, just really, tapping into how easily we can fall into that without really knowing it. And so,
And
yes,
really
it is an
brainwash
addiction.
ourselves into thinking that
Exactly.
that's what I want. No, I
Yeah,
want to make them happy. I'm going to do what they want, and
exactly.
I think that's mine. I think that's
Yeah.
my choice.
And then you lose perspective of what actually is real and true for you and what your needs and desires actually are, because you're so finely attuned to perceiving what other people's needs and desires are. So yeah, that's a very interesting topic. But let's have a look. And is there anything else you want to say around that, Lorraine? Colleen, because I was thinking we can talk about some strategies and
Yes,
perhaps look at some
let's jump into the
ideas.
strategies.
Ready to go
And
into
yeah, thank
that?
you for sharing that, Lorene, and great insight that people
Yeah,
pleasing is an addictive behavior, because it's
that's a
not
really
something
good
that
one.
is, like, you're not taking in a substance that's really destroying your health. It's subtle. It's very subtle. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, we get something out of that as well, because that we get to feel safe, or we get to feel liked, or whatever it
Hmm.
is.
Yep.
All right, so some strategies, some things we can do to, different ways to look at dealing with addictions, and especially as we go into this holiday season.
Like
So
locking yourself in the bathroom and
yeah,
screaming into a pillow. Like that. Yeah, yeah, there we go.
that's it. So my favorite is always clear the energy, dig, dig, dig. If you're using theta healing or whatever technique you're using, get in and find that root cause. Find out what's going on under the surface. Where did this originate? Going back to that deep energy of where this energy originated is such a great way to clear something really, really quickly. Once you do that, there may be other layers and so on that are required, and there may be some things that you need to change at a physical level as well, but that really shifts um, the that energy that kind of propels you to do things that you don't necessarily want to do. It's what makes those things feel very seductive and very, that you don't even have a choice about whether to partake in them. It's just you're kind of just drawn to it. Clearing those deep beliefs and energies will help to shift that energy. And once you do that, that makes all the difference to what you can create from there.
Yeah, yeah. And similarly, just raising your own vibration, right? Like
Yeah.
when you are really solid in where you are and how you want to show up. And it could be simple as, like just taking a few deep breaths in the car, setting an intention,
Yes.
doing a little meditation before you go in terms of how you want this to be, so that you're not going to be in that default knee-jerk reactive mode.
Yes.
And it could be, again, this is so deceptively simple, but how many of us actually do it? How many videos have I actually done about like expressing gratitude? But it works. It
Yeah.
flipping works.
Yeah.
So, whether you writing it down is really, really great, because, it really kind of gives you a positive feedback loop of like seeing it and having that sensory perception of writing it. But even if you've got a buddy, right? Like somebody else that you could just be like, hey, I'm grateful for this. Oh, that reminds me, I'm grateful for this thing too. And oh, wow, yeah, I didn't even think of being grateful for that. And it really just kind of feeds on itself, and just, you get that upward positive spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
And we
putting
were
yourself in a good mood before you even have to interact in a situation where you would likely be tempted to go into addictive behaviors really is going to set you up for success.
absolutely. We were just talking about before we came on, and you were saying before, Colleen, about just setting up those, like a support group. So even if it's just one person, or whether it's a small group of people, just having that accountability, having someone that you can check in, or even if you were to send each other, something that you were grateful for each day, as you're just saying, it's like it helps you get that momentum going. It helps you be accountable. And just keep you moving forward. Whereas often when you do it alone, you can be easily distracted, easily
Yeah, and
just,
it's
oh
easy.
yeah,
It's easy to talk yourself out of it. Like, nobody's
exactly.
really checking up on me. I can let this slide. And then one day
Yeah,
turns into two and two. And then all of a
exactly.
sudden you're like, wow, like I'm not even, like an exercise regime. Like, no, I don't have a personal trainer who's coming who's going to like, cheer me on to do
Yeah,
this. Like, I don't
yeah,
really have to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Lorene's
exactly.
got something here that she wanted to share as well. That she says, finding creative ways to say no thanks is a great game changer. Do you have any examples? Because my creative acting vision of why would I say no thanks? I'd create like a whole other backstory as to why I can't be there, and then just kind of get wrapped up in whatever thing
Yeah, because
story I'm
under
creating to
that,
do.
there can sometimes be, because this, comes back to the people pleasing, but underneath that guilt of saying no. So, there's often stuff you need to clear around that. But
Or you need to justify. You can't just say no for the sake of
yes,
saying no. Like, no,
yes,
I don't want to do that.
exactly,
Like, thanks
exactly.
for the opportunity, but I'm going to pass.
Yeah,
Sometimes you got to feel like, oh, and then I have to give them an excuse that's going to be justifiable for them.
yes, yes, exactly. And this has been interesting and something that I've kind of been tapping into recently myself. And as you know, Colleen, the last couple of weeks and moving into the next month, it's just, for me, it's been about really cancelling some things that I had on my schedule and saying no to just about everything else. Just saying no to almost about 99% of the things that I had planned or considering for the next few months. And the reason behind that is to really get back to what I truly would like to create moving forward, to make sure that it is what I truly desire, not based on need or people pleasing or anything else, because I feel that there is a change happening in my life at the moment. And I want to move forward from that real place of clarity. So for me, it has been about saying no to a lot of things, and it has been clearing some of the feelings and emotions that have come up because of that, of not wanting to disappoint people, or feeling obligated to people, or realizing that I was actually considering doing a particular course because I could feel how much that person wanted me to do it. That's people pleasing at a really, really subtle level. And it was like, hang on a minute, do I actually really want to do this? So I think practice saying no. Practice saying no as much as you can, even if you come back later and go, oh, hang on, I changed my mind, because we have the right to change our mind, right? But notice if you're someone who just automatically says yes, or even practice saying, I'll get back to you on that, so that you have time to just think about it, think about what you truly want without being under pressure from something else. And another quick thing I want to add to that, this is what I call the splash and dash when it comes to family gatherings. Like, if you find yourself getting dragged into all of the drama and all of the chaos, or you've got people that are putting pressure on you during family gatherings, or you just find yourself falling apart you seem to manage quite well outside, you get with the family, and then everything you've practiced just falls apart. So what you can do is the splash and dash. So this is like a pit stop when you're in a race car and they just race into the pit, they quickly fill up with fuel and then off they go again. Do that with your family. Like, shorten the amount of time that you're there. Go do the thing that you've got to do to be present and connect and communicate, and then get the hell out of there as fast as you can before you start falling apart.
We didn't talk about the splash and dash beforehand, so I'm delighted at that term. I would just call it making an appearance. I'm just going to go and make an appearance.
Yes,
And
yes.
even if you have to schedule something so that you get out of that, you absolutely make sure you get out of there, right? It's because you've got to take care of you first, right? And just be in alignment, right? And again, it's the end of the year. A lot of us are doing that, like, what do I really want for the next year? Like, evaluating what the last 12 months have been, what is my plan here, and how to align that. And it's something that you can do just for, what do I want for the next couple of hours? What do I want for this party gathering? What do I want just for, these next 2 weeks, or the end of the year, the holidays as well. So you get to decide. You're in charge.
Yeah. And as you said, it is about that self-care. It is about self-nurturing. It is about, this is just another strategy for, this holiday season or any time when you feel under stress. To take care of yourself, listen to what your actual needs are. Is it going to serve you to actually be around these people, or is it actually going to be kinder to you to not be there or to have a shorter visit? Really kind of check into what is going to work for you. And I think we also have to stop functioning from expectation, just because it's Christmas Day, we have to go spend time with family. If that's something that is really stressful for you, then choose something else, because ultimately you taking care of yourself and choosing what's going to create the greatest thing for you will create the change within you that allows you perhaps in the future to say, okay, I actually feel strong enough and I feel that I'm able to be in that situation now and still be me and still honor myself and still take care of myself. But right now, or while you're going through a healing phase or whatever, you have to do what is really kindest for you. And sometimes that does mean saying no to something important like that. But it all comes back to that self-care, boundaries, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and we could go on and on and on. We could make a whole series about this, but we're not going to, because we've been here for about 30 minutes. So those of you who are watching, or any of you who's watching on the replay, because we do love that you've come on the replay, and we do read the comments. If there's anything else you want to add as the two of us wrap up here, now's your chance.
I have one more thing too.
Yes, go ahead, Karen.
Sorry, hon. Also, you can ask the question if you're acting from a place of anger or emotional sadness, sorrow, whatever that grief or feeling may be under it or need in some way, is to also ask, is that yours? Like, is that energy actually yours? Because often we pick up on someone else's anger and then react to that, or someone else's sadness or sorrow or need or all of the emotions, and actually react or respond to that. So if you're feeling the need to drink or eat or smoke or whatever it is, are you actually reacting or responding to an energy of your own, or is it actually someone else's? Because if it's someone else's, you can release that very quickly and easily and don't have to get yourself messed up because of something that actually is not even yours.
Yeah, yeah, we're all great receivers. We're all more psychic than we think we are, and we're all great mirrors too, right? Like, and other people are mirroring back to us what our energy is too. So just being aware is sometimes it's a blessing and sometimes it's a curse. Like sometimes we're too aware, which is why it's like, all right, how do I numb this out? But take care of yourself. It's okay to put yourself first. And I also want to say too, because perfectionism can be also an addiction too, particularly if you're under a lot of pressure to perform or create something, whether it's gifts or a special experience for family members or something like that. Like sometimes just doing it so that it's good enough really is good enough, right? And focus on what is really important here. Is it the experience of you guys being together? Because I don't know about you guys, but for me last year, I did not get together for Christmas. We didn't get together for Thanksgiving here in the United States either. Like I did not see any of my family in person for months and months and months. We did deliver gifts, and then we opened them up online on a video call. Wow. And not even all of us could make it to that video call because, some of us didn't even have power. So for me, it was kind of like, wow, I've always kind of wanted to sleep in and not have to go somewhere on my Christmas birthday. So I kind of liked having the excuse. I didn't like that there was a worldwide pandemic for me to have to be able to do that. But I'm really looking forward to the possibility of this year of us getting together for a small gathering, right? So, but again, that wasn't what any of us really dreamed of. Like, even though my family, because we don't have any little kids that, you gotta worry about, Santa Claus and all that stuff. We tend to be pretty low key, but, we were happy that we were grateful that we were all still healthy, that we were all still able to exchange gifts, that we were all still able to wish one another well. And, it really helped us focus on what is really our priorities here. And and that might actually just wipe away all, when you refocus on that rather than all of the other layers and the coping mechanisms and the behaviors and the addictions that are on top of that. What is truly, why are we even really truly celebrating? Why are you celebrating with these people?
Yeah, interesting. So guys, you got to do the inner work. You got to, if you want to create change in your life, you've got to do the inner work, and you've got to be willing to, clear that deeper stuff so that you can move forward in a much more healthier and balanced way. If there is anyone that's really struggling through this, reach out and get help, because there is a lot of help available out there. Don't give up. There's so much that you can do to create change. And my favorite saying, always remember, everything is energy. Therefore, it can be changed, because when we bring it back to the quantum physics of it all, it's all just energy. So we can change anything, guys. So I hope everyone has an amazing Christmas season, holiday season, whatever it is that you do over the next few months. Colleen and I send you lots of love, so much gratitude for being here for the last however many months we've been doing this.
Gosh, since late April, early May. So
oh, wow.
Yeah, like 7 months. Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
That's so cool. So we're taking, perhaps a month or so off. We're aiming at coming back towards the end of January. But if you are in the Two Unholy Healers Facebook group, you'll get the notifications. And if you've signed up for, I think it was you can sign up for the mailing list through getting that PDF, the curse of the poor healer. I think that was it, which they would be able to access through the Facebook page. Colleen, is that correct?
Yes, I'm actually just putting the comment there now, and then I'll stick the banner here. So yeah, the short link is unholyhealers.com/PDF gift, and then that you get to download the PDF of Breaking the Curse of the Poor Healer, but then you'll get those updates too, of, because we haven't quite gotten a date yet in terms of when we will return. We're absolutely going to return sometime in late January, so be sure to like the page here, the Facebook page where you're watching it, if you're not already liking it, and then of course being on that mailing list, you'll get that update as well. So watch this space so that you can join us again after the new year, after we've taken some time putting ourselves first, making ourselves a priority, and doing the self-care of we love you all, but we got to take care of ourselves too.
Exactly. And I'm so looking forward to having a few weeks off and coming back fresh in the new year. So thank you everyone for joining us, and I have no more to say.
Yes. I just wanted to express gratitude for all of you who have supported us along the way, who show up for us live, who watch the replays. It really, I never could have dreamed it would have been this creation, this Two Unholy Healers would have been what it is, in just such a short time. It's been so much fun, and we love that you are a part of it. So yes, I wanted to express my gratitude, wish you all happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, happy end of the year, and I can't wait to see you in the beginning of 2022.
2022. Wow, all the twos. This will be fun. Thanks, guys.
See you next time. Bye.